Welcome back to Changfied YouTube channel, your trusted source for latest update across South Sudan and beyond. In today's update, we bring you the truth, the voices, and the real story shaping South Sudan and the region. Today we have two major reports. First, we revisit Vice President Taban Deng's bold statement about the crisis in Abyei and Sudan's collapse and what it really meant for South Sudan foreign policy. Then we will move to Bo Town in Jonglei State, where a human rights advocate has raised serious concern over violence and abuse by security forces. Before we move on to these latest updates, please help the channel by subscribing and turn on the notification bell so whenever we upload a new video you can be notified. Do not forget to like the video, share the video, and also comment. Let's start with Taban Deng, the Vice President of South Sudan. Let's go back to November 29, 2024. South Sudan Vice President for Infrastructure Taban Deng shocked the nation and even neighboring Sudan. While speaking at the 8th Governor Forum in Juba, Taban declared something that few leaders dared to say it out loud. Taban stated that there's no government in Sudan. He said, our people in Abyei are suffering. We cannot just watch. The people of Ngok are South Sudanese and we must protect them. His word spread quickly from the conference hall to every news outlet across Juba. For many South Sudanese, it was a moment of truth. For others, it was a moment of political danger. Within days, Juba political offices were in panic. On December 2nd, 2024, the Minister of Presidential Affairs, Ambassador Chol Ajonge Mawut, called a press conference. He said Vice President Taban's statement did not represent the official position of the government. In his televised speech, he carefully distanced the administration from Taban's comment, saying, those are his personal views. South Sudan respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Sudan. And his words were calm but firm, a diplomatic attempt to cool down a storm that was already spreading beyond border. Ambassador Ajongo, an experienced lawyer and diplomat, was trying to protect South Sudan image. He chose diplomacy over confrontation. But in doing so, many people fail to ignore the reality on the ground in Abyei, where the local community live in fear, caught between two nations. Taban Deng's statement may have sounded controversial, but for many South Sudanese, it was simply honesty. Abyei people have long awaited for help as violence and neglect continue to destroy their life. One of the main reasons the government rejected Taban's message was because of hollow and outdated international principles, especially the idea of sovereignty and territorial integrity. This idea came from a time when king and colonial power ruled with no accountability. The concept basically said a ruler can do no wrong. That is why even today many constitutions across Africa protect sitting president from prosecution while in office. For example, in Kenya, the law says no criminal case can be opened against a president while they are still in power. But these rules are now being questioned. They were made to protect leaders, not the people. In modern time, countries are no longer isolated. What happened in one country affects its neighbor. That is why many legal experts argue that sovereignty should not mean silence in the face of human suffering. When Vice President Taban Deng spoke about ABA, he wasn't interfering in Sudan internal affairs. He was speaking for people who have no choice, who have no voice. Even international law now recognize this principle. In 2003, the African Union, AU, replaced the old non-interference policy with a new one, non-indifference. That means African countries have a duty to speak up or act when people are suffering under war crime, genocide, or crime against humanity. The African Union learned this lesson the hard way. In the 1970 and 1980, the world watched as leaders like Idi Amin of Uganda and Jean Bedel Bokassa of the Central African Republic committed brutal atrocities. The whole Organization of African Union, which is OAU, remained silent, afraid of interfering in another country's affair. Millions died, and Africa's image suffered. The violence is what the African Union vowed never to repeat. Today, the same silence surrounds Sudan. Since General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan took power through coup, Sudan has been torn apart by war. Thousands have been killed, millions displaced, and in Abyei, innocent civilians live with no protection, no government, and no hope. So what should South Sudan do? Instead of running away from Taban Deng's statement, South Sudan should take leadership, understand the African Union non-indifferency principle. Juba can officially ask the African Union to intervene in Sudan to protect the people of Abyei, Nuba Mountain, and Blue Nile. This would not be an act of aggression, it would be an act of humanity. The people of Abyei are African citizens who deserve peace, safety, and dignity. South Sudan, as a young nation born from struggle, understand what it means to suffer and be ignored. That is why it has both the moral and historical duty to speak up, not to stay silent. By President Taban Deng's word may have been political risk, but sometimes truth is risk. In the end, leadership is not about repeating what is safe. It is about saying what is right. As the region burn and Abyei continue to cry for help, South Sudan must decide, while it hides behind whole rule and silence, or will it stand up and lead Africa toward justice and humanity? That is the test of true leadership. But still, the country like South Sudan is being criticized also, because the people they are protecting Kir Mayadit while the country is also suffering. Let's say in 2013, more than 400,000 people died, but Kir never held any responsibility about the dying of the innocent civilian, especially the Nuer people that were massacred in Juba and elsewhere, or the population that has been displaced. Millions of people are living in refugee camp. They are suffering, and yet nobody is holding Kir Mayadi responsible. It is the same thing which is happening in Sudan. No one cares. Unless if the leader is being held responsible, that is when the people can see the bigger picture, that leaders should not be protected when they have done dangerous things. They should be held accountable and should be questioned. But with this rule and principle and constitution, all the rules that are being forced on people not to speak up, because all the rules that are being put forward, they are used to protect the leader, so that they cannot be questioned when they are still leading. Only when they are being removed, like what happened in Darfur. Darfur were genocide by the previous leader in Sudan, but up to now nobody held responsible. So these are all the problems that are being created by the leader, who are not being held responsible because there is something that is protecting them. But things can be changed. Let's move on to advocate Suzy, Nyuon, and the cry for justice in Bor. On number 5, 2025, a courageous woman advocate, Suzy Nyuon William, wrote an open letter that quickly caught the attention of South Sudan leaders. She is the founder of the National Alliance of Women Lawyer, and in her letter she appealed directly to senior presidential envoy Adu Salva Kiir Mayardit. Her message was simple but strong. She said that stop the violence and human rights abuse in Bor Town in Jonglei. According to advocate Suzy, later members of the National Security Service and some element of the South Sudan People Defense Forces have been harassing, abusing, and even killing civilians in Bor. She mentioned shocking examples, including the killing of a young man by security officers, and a video that is spread online showing a soldier threatening an elderly woman and demanding money from her. She begged for mercy. For many residents of Bor, these incidents have created fear and mistrust. The very forces meant to protect them have become a source of terror. Advocate Suzy's letter is not an attack on the government, it is a cry for reform. She said that while maintaining security is important, it should never come at the cost of innocent life. She reminded the authorities that law enforcement must serve the people, not harm them. Her letter said the ongoing abuses have destroyed the public trust in the government institution. People now fear the uniform instead of respecting it. The role of Adu Salva Kiir. In her message, Suzy Nyuon appealed to Honorable Adu Salva Kiir, saying that her position as senior presidential envoy gave her the power to oversee and correct what is going wrong. She wrote, "We understand that your role includes monitoring national and external development that affect peace, stability, and security." She added that Adu's appointment had given many young people hope that a new generation of leaders could bridge the gap between citizen and the government. So that is what people are hoping for. Now she said it is time to prove that hope right. Advocate Suzy listed several urgent actions. She said discipline must be enforced among all military and security personnel. Unauthorized soldiers should be removed from residential areas. Transparent investigation must be carried out for every reported abuse. Those responsible should face lawful prosecution. She emphasized that justice must not be delayed because delay means more death and more pain. In one emotional part of a letter, Suzy reminded the government of Adu's own word about the importance of youth in nation building, but she sadly pointed out that those same youth are now becoming victim of violence, fear, and hopelessness. Her closing message was clear: act now before more lives are lost. What is happening in Bor is not an isolated issue when we look at it. Across the country, many communities have reported similar cases: abuse by security officers, intimidation, and misuse of power. Even in Nasser, the same thing happened. People reported the way the SSPDF abused the civilian there before the conflict started. South Sudan fought for independence so that its people could live with dignity and freedom. But when citizens start fearing their protector, it becomes a national crisis, like what happened in Nasser. Advocate Suzy Courage reminds us that change began with one voice, and that voice helped no one. The government must take her letter seriously. True leadership is not about hiding problems, it is about fixing them, right? If the country continues to allow impunity, the future of peace and unity will be at risk. South Sudan's image as a nation of hope depends on how it handles such cases. Justice and accountability are not foreign ideas. They are African values, and they are the foundation of a strong nation. shana nen katin kon shalat gwasame bana tin konde kon kalat katungnat bana kalat kan kon tog mi jirama jidit gwasame gorno jin be subscribe ka Changfied YouTube channel gorno bi shonkel ka Changfied ku subscribe ku notification bell ku jetwan ko mite me shalare gwasame be chawmala shube kaji a chan ler nyam tana je to kel lere me equita bande ngai jo mi shalat ka kuya bi gorjen odere link ko very important Taban de ngai charai ka kuya bi bana je tugne ka gwaze dani lade je gaje ko ntama nay tun wanti la South Sudanese chuke don shal ka bi ka paywal kel chan ya nang red bangwan ka paywal ke ron kin daro jen dang ridung wan South Sudan Vice President mela kur Taban de ngai charai ka jo mi chine dial chi widen che de gai mi gai ken wo che de lat Raja Gwadul ka men badagdien men chalke governor forum in Juba Taban chela do nena ke jo dan chela ta washi kwar wanchi kan raga kwide chi Taban chere che weta le kume metre wika Sudan ajene there is no government in Sudan che jo mo che jalat ajene ne konen tre wika be shushken ajene chi konde chong ku kon le gwini ka shushka ajene tin chalke key people of Ngok Dinka ngok ajana shush kana longra wuchin mi kana ti ke South Sudanese adene ka gang mishit kana me chatene de kokien te sheguje no mijia gwade dane raje tene kane ngum da lar no chwaje lingra wuch ka juba kelio ne tu ngare wika South Sudan jukene guje no men chala Taban de ngai ajelo da latok bane tu wan tin kokien guje no ne me siase so ne me shimagwa kane political key politic ashikana gorno de Taban de ngai dere we dere South Sudan de cross we right ka kwi ngok dinka ken ke South Sudanese de cheng ka border jo chalat gwasame ke chanka rawka paiwero ron kin dang ro dung wan te rami mo mi right ka kwi Taban de ngai mi she roja dan je Taban de ngai she right ke je eno de ne ko ka be de ka lok Asia Gaka General me Shimogwa Minister of Presidential Affairs Wun Mishala Ambassador Chola Jongo Mawut Jen Wache Dolce Chol Kuchula do Vice President Taban de Ngai Roya Chalat Chi Raj Mogwa Raj Mijiak Jenichi Taban de Ngai Jen ka position Dunkume Jen Roja la de Chelela Dunkume Roja lo Chiran Kume Kajoma Chalat Guasame Wudi Shalkame Chola Jongo Mawut Chelare wonena Chelare wo de kum da roda nan kamana na chalat ke komanda na chalat de Taban de ngai eno lara jeno itele kum mia ka Sudan ko Taban de ngai chelare no there's no government right now ko to quotating ko ngai kon ko da na chitong ni ke jen pai ngwan ke 2023 rewi ka Sudan chai guje Taban no tel mi chale kor ko jom be lat ke 2024 chuur me jab nyok mo je no loja jenmen men ga Taban de ngai ke jen Taban de ngai che de jen ba mu dien ba jolat ki be South Sudan ba jo Martin jen view dan te Taban de ngai e duna karwa da shi dun kume ko jen South Sudan lose can sovereignty dung Sudan so cha de larno Sudan iteleje government right now ki iteleje kume jenemete melat ke mishunya konde lanaje ke diplomatic ways ke diplomacy gwan mo right na kamni no de ne tin te kon tin ka be de ka dil wojo ambassador ajongo jen no ramimo wa la lawyer ka experience long ka diplomat no wa jen ni gang ne ture dung South Sudan ko shebe je kane te ko ken chit ke ji Sudan ko la da jomo shit kana me wajen do budan raji ga kwida no but kane rin wan ngai kana no ta dan chu na ga ka be gore lokala tok gore kum Sudan no de ka ak de kan ta je ga dan men chu ke ne de kontila South Sudan ni sin ta ka be de kan ka rescue no ka do budan chu kan ga ja but te kare mu chalat gwase me de kona ling men kula very important along chalat no African wa use kan ngot te chi do jok mu ti chale all low ngot ti do jok kan ngot to wa gang ken kwaren kontinte wi kwa kan kwar konti wi kwa wa chang le ran mi jeng mi shoro lot a chang jira ma nang na shit ke me chalat take example me changun gwase me chit ke wuren shwal ke eda min dada eno no wane diti me dan me shikana na ka Uganda kana kwara koken do be shigna nakaje kana garden michala jin bedel bukasa ramela kwer Central Africa Republic wudi shalkame Idi Amin kwer Uganda chikene itingwan chiken kanak but ken medan ta kwer ka changa ramatot murach taji African wo de ka kafki de ka jogo no man shala da mijek ko dwal na keke but chi dwal na keke but wate ka motte cha garpin commercial all organization of Africa Union mishale OAU organization actually Africa Unity many actually all organization of African Unity actually OAU gen organization magang no kwar chenchi kwar je mijek jalat taje de tije no jina ngumi na unless cha kon brar wi kwam so ko kuje mo shi kwar she bugoro no brar wi kwam ajen duo bdana shu nyakaje ko rik telat ken Idi Amin let kana ka ron kit kelul kul bangone jen baro ko ron kit kelul kul bangone jen badak gwade dana naka naten kan ka tich kan ka ke bangot ko wati ka ngot te laden wona ne tisha garpin ajala ko lara kan tangoni la ka gor chwerpin ne lat ke ti jeg bukan ngot ken bukan ka chore jama ko cha ka bukule tije no men la diene amijek so chala do ne ngote ko ne cha yatpin kajen mishal ke all organization of African Union ki OAU lat ken no ne te la kwer ka Africa mi ba yen ki ba ti gen mite ko mite ring michalat unless taja kon capping wi kwamde kwer ma kana kon capping chana jemala tayi da national liu ko je ka South Sudan ke 2013 kan kim yadit kanatich o te ko ngot tramke ti wacha kwer cha de bete jeno national liu woni nga chika tay ngai kon no chi more than 400,000 chi liu ka chin wer wan cha ka ma saka da mun ka ne ko ken te chi liu re wajedan kan kwar kan ga ti ka tay dan chi korche to ko kana wati ka ngot de ganke me dan ji kon ngaji ne re wi ka Darfur cha Darfur ne cha kana ka kwer Sudan e wal me kan watch te ram me cha ti no lieb ka jeno unless cha je kon capping wi kwam then ba je kula ti amen me charge bo won pin bu ko ko dile mele no ngata ko Sudan teram teika mi jek ci jalat taaje tech ajala wona ran kwer ka menteme le reje kwer Uganda bo le de chodi lu ngodo ba teram mo mtieje kwartu ngwandela ka jek te chati African kanede titi chikan ne ti chopke million chikan jaga jana ka Africa but still teram teika teram joko no jin mi ci la do mi jek gwate dane shi General Abdel Fattah kana Al-Burhan me ce pawo ce kan ka Sudan me shi ke ku ci kana lat ngam ci ka tite am ci ka tite ka ta mace wani ko liu ne 1000 people ta liu ka Sudan ka ta am tike wajin ngoda mo so mu ci kana me mu cha na bu jogo no mala jena me jihak waci na da honyam aje mala ke jeno Taban da ngai te ka chong ka wo be jela ro telekum miaka Sudan ka kuje mode kon te ka Sudan de kon ka dil kap de kon ka dil nongre duaran ki de ka gang chikane te kon te ka be ne te kon te ka Nuba Montia ne te kon te ka Blunal ne dialati wa ke South Sudanese te goro de ka rescue bata jo me chaje look ane te ko kien kon guje no me siasa chana we ka lardo dien te ga jo me chalat nyam chale Suzy Nyuon jen charwaje long ka ta danan china shu ki jero bor te ga warga mi cha gwar nyama shalka dut selfa ke ma yadit men la presidential advisor ke de control convoy ke de control no rami mum la kwar mishalat kor kim yadi no ba yarwaje ka kwi gwan cha ko gwa letter gwas me cha jogo no men latke national security service me je kalong ka national security service waji kan naga manne ngwenne kan ngwenne kan den kontin don kula la future dung South Sudan honorable adu self came yadit cha jogo no jin ko jene senior presidential envoy cha jogo no jin dara gwan wo deri right kan de kontin la SSPDF ko tika power ne de ti nakanare wika bor mena kan ngwani ngam kula la dorien no te ngore ya pingwas men nyam chal ke Suzy mani advocate Suzy ajene nene ajene nyam de ne gor jeno de kan ngeke do badana de kan rodian lot kaja anyo ko jene gor jeno chane ti lat ke ti je chaga dia kwanke so eneme banad ba ko kulel ba kula gang chala no rami mo de mi kan jago bo we bana bo ko tol no charge che dia we kan yok de mi mat ka kwan ki che drug che ka use cha de guru no de lat let so the reality ka ti chalat ko che kan video de ko ne che to ka kwi wood ka me che mat ka kwan shanga na jek so all those things in the chala do ka ti jek to guru no de ka ale ka kuma South Sudan cha du cha gol jogo no de right tin na mo de right ka national security ko ci kana ci kan ga den nak ni da naka to ke ngani a jo me jen jodan go de nyaa kon kel an ban nyo je ga le rodien bi atemal bye bye